Hey, my name is Kate Anthonisz. I am a former semi-professional goalkeeper, having played with the likes of Sydney Olympic, Sydney Uni, did some stints with the Wanderers and with Sydney FC. And now I work in the technology sector for Atlassian, having previously done 6 years at Google, working across both Australia and the UK market. So I am also a volunteer board member for Women Onside, which is an organization dedicated to helping promote women in football everywhere. So that's me.
Awesome, thank you. And obviously, as someone that's involved in football, what does it mean to you for Australia to be co-hosting this year's FIFA Women's World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, this is nothing I could have imagined growing up. I remember my dad sitting me down at one point and telling me you had to pick between having a full-time job or being a female athlete. It was never a case that I could do both. And now I'm looking around and I'm seeing scores of women who are interested in pursuing this as a career. And all of a sudden, those avenues have opened up, and little girls are able to see themselves on the pitch, and they're able to see, thousands and thousands of spectators attending games and watching them. It's unprecedented times in terms of how we look at that as a country, and how we've actually enabled that for future. So as everybody keeps saying, that the future is bright in not only women's football, but in women's sport. So yeah, just so excited.
And you've touched on it there, but how might this World Cup create opportunities for women to work in football?
I think even for me, I only finished playing last year, and I remember coming to my organization, Women Onside, and saying, I don't know what to do next. I don't even know what avenues are available. I don't know what there is to do. They said to me, oh, have you thought about doing something in commentating, or have you thought about kind of doing public speaking, anything along those lines? And all of a sudden, these avenues opened up that I'd never previously thought about. These were just kind of the only option for me, was to play as a semi-professional athlete. That was all I could do. Now all of a sudden I've got commentating, or I've got ways in which I can be involved that I'd never previously thought about. And I think where we're seeing the game now, you're not only seeing things like commentators, but you're seeing things like referees, female referees brought into light. You're seeing things like administrators, sports physicians, all of these like critical parts of a team that aren't just the 11 players on the pitch. So I think it's just incredible pathways that are opening up to say to women, it's not just about having a sport and being an athlete. It's about everything that goes on behind the scenes. So I think there's huge avenues that have now opened up, which people are able to see, which were previously either unnoticed, unrecognized, or underpaid. So yeah, I think there's going to be huge momentum in terms of how that shift happens throughout women's sport.
Awesome. And I guess on a similar front, what do you think the lasting legacies will be of Australia hosting this World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it's inspired young girls to see their favorite celebrities on the field. I'm hoping that it's inspired young boys to say, I could be like Sam Kerr, or I could be like Mackenzie Arnold. And I'm hoping that shift starts to happen. I went to a pub the other day, and a young boy was wearing the Matildas jersey, and I said to him, who is your favorite player? And he said, definitely Katrina Gorry. She's got an incredible work rate. Started analyzing her statistics on the field. I thought, my goodness, this would not have happened 10 years ago. Just the girls on the field are able to kind of portray to everybody else in the world and say, there's so much more here and there's so much more to do. So in terms of a legacy, I would love to see that kind of grassroots level increase. So definitely more participation. If I can see more female goalkeepers, I'd be over the moon, but that's just my own personal ambition. But definitely opening up to the grassroots level. I think getting support behind our A-League clubs as well, to say, show up to games, represent. We've got players like Courtney Vine who came through that system, who are now playing at a national level. The talent is there, and how do we keep building on that? And then I think it's about how do we promote local NPL clubs as well. So how do we start from the bottom and work our way up and continue the momentum of something like the Women's World Cup?
Fantastic. And just finally, is there anything in particular that you believe needs to be done by the industry in order to cement that legacy?
Well, that's a tough one. I think, listening to Football Australia, they had a plan in place, and it wasn't just a short turnaround to say, we've got 3 years in which we can execute something like this. Like, all of this momentum has been building. The Matildas' success didn't happen overnight. It came on the forebearers before them. So I think it's really about, where do we take this legacy from here? And it's about, hey, we've gotten to this point now. What's the next step? And what are we driving for? And how do we get that participation? And I think football is now a serious contender as a sport in this country, which has never happened up until this point. So something like the World Cup can really bring that together. But now it's about, how do we invest the money that's come off the back of this? How do we find which organizations or which avenues are actually going to support the future growth And I think it's about just securing what that impact from the World Cup looks like and making sure that's visible rather than, hey, we've got a 10-year plan and we're not going to tell anyone about it. Really making sure this is a visible plan that we're all working on, so every organization can help drive it forward.
Fantastic. Really appreciate that, Kate. Thanks so much.
Thanks for the time.